This week's parasha is Parashat Toldot, where we learn about the birth of Yaakov and Asaph. And there's so much more to learn from the parasha, but today I want to talk about specifically something that probably will be applicable to many, and is the fact that it's not easy to raise kids. And some of you may not still have kids, but I don't want to blow the air out of the sails. It's not easy raising kids. They're wonderful, they give a lot of happiness, a lot of joy, but it's a job and a half, and it takes a lot of energy. And then comes another part that is even harder, is when you start meeting a kid that is difficult. And especially that you go on the path of the Torah, and then you see a kid that goes off the path of the Torah. Or chas v'shalom into something worse. Unfortunately, in our generation, we can sweep the truth under the rug that the majority of the teenagers in our day and age, doesn't matter, observant, not observant, Jewish, not Jewish, battling drugs, alcohol, and so many other problems. It's almost a miracle to find a teenager that doesn't abuse drugs, alcohol, and anything else in anywhere in the world. I'm not talking right now in an observant family, when you hope you raise your child to the Torah, and then the child goes to a completely different place. So, before we even start, because I know a lot of people might say, I don't have kids, I don't need to listen to this class. Listen to the class, because it's not only about raising kids and having kids. At the end, we're going to find out a very profound message that we all need to listen. Because one of the stars of this parasha is Asaph. And Asaph is the son of Yitzchak, and he's a wicked individual. And even from him we can learn a lot. So we're going to discuss a little bit the idea, how come such a tzaddik like Yitzchak and such a tzaddiket like Rivka, they have a child like Asaph? Where does that come from? And not only that, besides the fact that we can look at it as a great teachings for us as parents and adults and educators, how to deal with situations like that, but even for the ones who don't have kids, there's a great message behind Asaph, and why the Torah chooses to bring him as one of the stars and giving a major role here. Talks about him a lot. We get to see a lot of places in the Torah that it's referring to Asaph. So either way you're looking at it, the message behind here is extremely important, both to parents and educators and to anyone that is in this world that wants to be close to Hashem. So, like I said before, raising kids, it's not easy. It's a lot of fun. It's very challenging at times. And if you take it in the right approach, you end up learning a lot. Most people, they look at their kids and as if they have to educate the kid. I choose to look at my kids that they educate me. And it's very easy to feel superior to the kids. But if you're smart, you make yourself inferior to the kids, and you're saying, let me see how I can learn from each and every one of them. And if I give respect and a place to my kids in my life, they teach me so much, and I end up being the one who gains here. Rashi says something very interesting about the kids, about the idea of kids, and he says, when Adam HaRishon sinned, the land got cursed. Arura ha'adama me'ain bata. The land got cursed because of the action of Adam. Why are you cursing the land? What did the land do? We know that Adam HaRishon got 10 curses, Chava got 10 curses, the snake got 10 curses, and the land got 9 curses, totaling 39 curses. That's why we have 39 labors that we're not allowed to do on Shabbat to rectify these curses. But why is the land getting cursed? Rashi says because that's where Adam came from. So the land was cursed. And Rashi says the same thing with a wicked person. Then the sages say, damn is the woman that's where the child came from. That's pretty intense and pretty extreme to say that woman, what did she do? She's a nice lady, or the father's a nice man. What did she do to bring out such a child? So obviously, there's something there. Now, a big problem that I feel, that I see with many parents or educators, is when they have a child that is not 100% how they want to, or chas v'shalom even worse, the parents feel it's their responsibility. I messed up. And I guide many hundreds, if not thousands of parents when it comes to parenting, and they see the child goes either away from the path of the Torah, or chas v'shalom to a lifestyle that they don't approve, or even worse, falls into drugs, alcohol, and criminal activities, and the parents take on themselves this feeling that I messed up. I didn't give him enough love. I didn't give him enough attention. I didn't give him enough resources. That's not always your fault. You did your best. If you did neglect the child, that's a whole different thing. But if you didn't do anything and you gave your best shot, you can't take it on yourself. So with that said, comes a huge question that every person should not only ask, but rather scream when they read this parasha. How can it be that Yitzchak and Rivka have a child like Asaph? Something doesn't work out here. With Ishmael and Abraham, you say, okay, fine. Abraham is a tzaddik, but he married a woman that she wasn't a tzaddiket. She wasn't even Jewish when he married her. So I can say, okay, Ishmael came out of her. Here you have on one hand Yitzchak, on the other side Rivka, and you get a child like Asaph. Now Asaph was not just a bad guy. Asaph was the symbol of evil up until today. Asaph was not only wicked, he was mean, he was bad, there wasn't even 1 ounce of good there. Comes a big question, and not only that, he's the first Jew, so to say, that is so bad. I mean, we had some pretty bad Jews in our history, and not all of us are such stars. If you look at our history, you see many Jews that went completely against the nation, completely against God. Comes a big question, if he's so bad, how come they didn't throw him out of the house? I mean, the Torah says that Yaakov became blind, that Yitzchak became blind from the idol worship that the wives of Asaph did. They used to burn incense and all sorts of stuff. Why didn't they throw him out of the house? I understand that you love the child, but kick him out of the house. Why are you allowing this to happen in your home? But we have to really understand before we continue that Asaph is not just some delinquent. He was a wicked individual. Every time we read about him in the Torah, he's up to no good. He was a complete Rasha. And again, we're back to the same question. How come from Yitzchak comes Asaph? That doesn't seem to fit very well. So the Torah already hints about this in the first few words in the parasha, where it says in the first pasuk, El letoldot Yitzchak ben Avraham, Avraham olid et Yitzchak. This is the lineage, the birth of Yitzchak, the son of Avraham, and Avraham gave birth to Yitzchak. You just told me that Yitzchak is the son of Avraham. Why are you telling me again that Avraham is the father of Yitzchak? I mean, I know I'm not the most brightest person in the world, but I figured out that Avraham is the father of Yitzchak. Why do you have to tell me in the same verse that Avram is the father of Yitzchak and Yitzchak is the son of Avraham? Okay. Rashi says that in the first 4 words of the parasha, we get the point. Now, Rashi explains that the reason why the Torah says that is because it says, Kol leitzanei ador, everybody in the generation were mocking the situation and saying, Yitzchak is not the son of Avraham. He's 100 years old and he couldn't have babies for the last 100 years. Yitzchak is the son of Avimelech. What are you talking about? Sarah was taken for Avimelech and she spent some time with him and he got her pregnant. I mean, we know that Avraham was also barren. Not only, I don't know if you can say on a man barren. How do you say on a man? Sterile? Okay. Okay, now you're asking me to say hard words, but...
But he had Ishmael.
You're right, but in the beginning, we're going to learn about it very soon with the Midrash says, in the beginning Avraham was akar. I'm not going to say that hard word, that's where my teeth are breaking, but nevertheless, the generation was saying, Yitzchak came from Elimelech. Elimelech got Sarah pregnant. Now comes a big chidush here, that the commentaries say, why is now the Torah saying that the generation was saying that Yitzchak is not the son of Avraham Avinu? We just read in the parasha, how old was Yitzchak when they were born? It's Yaakov and Asaph. He was 60 years old. 60 years? The whole generation didn't notice that Yitzchak is not the son of Avraham. Pitom, after 60 years, they pitom realize and say, no, Yitzchak is not the son of Avraham. Where were you 60 years? So the Mefarshim, the commentary says, something doesn't sit very well here. Rashi says very clearly that the reason why it says Yitzchak is the son of Avraham and Avraham is the father of Yitzchak, to make sure, Rashi says that Hashem made Yitzchak look exactly like Avraham Avinu. They look identical. Why? So everybody will say, yeah, that's the father. But why now they're coming and saying that they did that because all the people in the generation were mocking the situation, saying, no, Yitzchak is the son of Avimelech. 60 years it took you to wake up? Where were you 60 years? So there's a beautiful, beautiful explanation by a certain, very dominating rabbi. He lived about 550 years ago in the countries of Ashkenaz. His name is Rav Israel Isserlin. And he has a very, very amazing book called Trumat HaDeshen. It's a book of questions and answers. This is a very common thing in halakha. It's called shut. Shut is shelot v'tshuvot. It's very common in halakha that there's going to be a rabbi that asks questions, or the questions were asked to him and he answers them. And it's very interesting to read the backwards and forth. So he has a book called Trumat HaDeshen. This is a book of questions and answers about halakha, written about 550 years ago. And he has a very interesting comment on this exact point of why did it took them 60 years. And he says, only after 60 years, when the generation saw what came out of Yitzchak, then they were saying, can't be that he's the son of Abraham. That cannot be that Yitzchak is the son of Abraham and comes out from Yitzchak such a wicked person. So in the beginning, everybody believed, Yitzchak is the son of Abraham. Look, he looks exactly like him. No question here. 60 years later, when the Asaph was born, give it another 10, 15 years, not even 15 years, and the generation saw that wicked person, no chance that if he came out of Yitzchak, that Yitzchak is the son of Abraham. Must be that Yitzchak is the son of Avimelech. Because if Yitzchak is the son of Abraham, how can such a wicked person will come out of him? Beautiful commentary. The Talmud says that the success or the failure of a child is always related to the parent. Very harsh. If, I'm sure that when you have a child and he's successful, my child is senior doctor in Mount Sinai. So how many times we meet the proud mothers? My son, my mother walks also. My son, very, very proud. Even though she's not Polish, but she's very proud. But nevertheless, so when there's success, the parents always take pride. But what about the failure? No, that's not. It's not my son. So my father was always a big shot. He was a general in the army, a very big businessman, and I was a troublemaker. Everywhere I went to, I used to do trouble, especially in the army. He was a general, I was a troublemaker, and he once I got in trouble, and come and help me. I'm not helping you. You're the shame. My father was very tough. He's like, I'm not coming in and helping you. You're making me look bad. But nevertheless, the Talmud says that usually the success or the failure will be somehow attached to the parent. But why? What did I do? I did nothing wrong, and then my child does something bad and I take the blame? Why? So the Torah, that's what the Talmud says, the Torah believes that the surrounding affects a person. and put a person in a certain surrounding, he will be affected. And there's no question that that's how it is. Take a nice child, put him in a bad neighborhood, he'll grow up to be a bad person. But nevertheless, the Torah, the Talmud, will always give backing to what it says. If the Talmud comes out with a statement that the success or the failure of a child will be somehow attached to the parent, then the Talmud comes and gives two scenarios to back up what they're saying. One scenario is a very positive scenario, talking about a great sage known as Yoshua ben Hananiah. If you ever read the tractate Avot, Masechet Avot, many people read it on Shabbat between Pesach and the holidays. And it's talking about this sage, Yoshua ben Hananiah. And he was a great, great sage. And when he was born, they said, Ashrei Yoldato, happy is the mother that brought this child to the world. Ooh, that mother that brought him into the world. The story says that when she was pregnant, she would constantly learn Torah next to him. When he was born, right away she took the carriage and put him in the shul, in the yeshiva. He would learn. The men would learn Torah, and he would only listen to Torah all day long. She would constantly go to the Bet Midrash, sit there just so the baby can hear Torah all day long. And he became a huge, huge tzaddik, a great, great sage. And the Talmud says, Ashrei Yoldato, happy is the mother that brought him into the world. This is the positive approach, the positive example. The Talmud says, you see, you take a child from day one, put him in a shul, let him hear Torah all day long, let him hang out around the tzaddikim, he'll grow out to be a great sage. But on the other hand, the Talmud comes with a negative story. This can be found in the tractate Sukkah. And it's talking about a woman, her name is Miriam bat Bulga. And she came from a very prestige family of Kohanim. And she was at the time when the Greeks came and started controlling the land. We're 4 weeks away from Hanukkah. We're going to start learning a lot about the Greeks. But she was, again, from a very prestige and known family of Kohanim. And at the time when the Greeks came, they came with the iPhones and the iPads and Facebook, and they started making everything modern, and you don't need the Torah. Why do you need Torah? I have an iPhone X for you right here on the spot. And they came with all this shtuyot, this nonsense of the Yevanim, and many fell for that. Exactly like today, that we all fall prey for technology and all this bait. So she was one of them, and she went away from the Torah. She met a Greek young man, and they got married. She had kids with him, and one day she was so anti the Torah and so anti the Beit HaMikdash and everything. The story says that she walked into Beit HaMikdash, and she took her shoe and she hit the altar, the Mizbeach. And she was able to get into Beit HaMikdash because she had a free pass. She's a Bat Kohen. You know what it is, the family. So it's a prestige family. Nobody knew exactly what's going on. So she was able to get into Beit HaMikdash. She goes all the way into the altar. She takes her shoes off and she starts pounding on the altar. And she screams, wolf, wolf, at the altar. How long are you going to continue taking the mammon, the money of your kids, and not helping them in need? You're Jews, they're coming with sacrifices. Costs a lot of money to bring a sacrifice. You know how much a bull costs? It's not that you just go to the market and pull out a bull. A bull costs a lot of money. A sheep, a goat. And she was saying, how long are you taking the korbanot, but you're not doing anything? Look now, the Yevanim, the Greeks, they're coming, attacking them, and you're not doing anything. And she was, doing a huge Chilul Hashem. The sages at the time, the Chachamim at the time, they found the entire family guilty. They went and fined the entire family, and you know how it worked with the Kohanim. They had 8-hour shifts, around the clock. 8 hours is one shift, then they finish, they go home, comes the next group of Kohanim, 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours. It's called a mishmeret, a shift. The entire family of that mishmeret, the sages fined them. They gave him a fine and a warning, and this is like not a good thing going on. The council was telling them, you all did wrong. Comes the big question: why are you punishing the whole shift? We're talking here about dozens of Kohanim. What did they do? The woman just walked in and she did what she did. Why does everybody have to be guilty? So the answer that it says, Kedeimri inshi. What does that mean? The translation is that she says what she heard. Basically saying, in other words, kids say outside of the home what they hear at home. That's usually the case. If you hear the parents bad-mouthing a certain individual, the kid will say that outside of the house. If the parents say something bad or good towards somebody, now there was all the elections now for the mayor, and you hear all the, this guy is this guy, this guy is this guy is that. You hear all the talking. So usually the child will say what he hears at home. And when the child doesn't say anything, it means at home nothing is being said. So that's what the Talmud says. If she came in and she did what she did, it means something's going on in the family. She didn't just come and say such a thing. That's where the Talmud says the surrounding affects you. You sit in a certain place. I know of a certain individual that was in a certain place. In the certain place we're talking in a very negative way towards a certain individual. He became like that because he hears this all day long. So it becomes like that. And how many times you put an individual in a certain crowd and he gets affected by what the crowd has to say. So, according to what we just learned from the Talmud, then according to these words, Yitzchak and Rivka failed, right? Because they had an Asaph. That doesn't work well. Yitzchak and Rivka failed. What did they do? On one side, you have Yitzchak. Yitzchak is called Ola Kedosha. He was put on the altar as a sacrifice. He's holy. He was not allowed even to leave the land of Israel. He was completely kadosh. On the other hand, you have Rivka. Rivka is the symbol of kindness, chesed, and good. She was 3 years old. Eliezer comes, she right away comes, she gives him water, and then she gives water to the camels. You know how much water a camel drinks? Maybe 100 liters. This little girl comes and barely holds the pitcher, and she gives water to the camels. And so forth. We're not going to go into the whole entire life of Rivka, but Rivka is the symbol of good. Something doesn't work out here. You have a tzaddik on one side and an unbelievable woman on the next side, and this is what happens. So the conclusion is that sometimes it has nothing to do with the parents. Sometimes, you can say, okay, the parents did a number on the child, fine. But in many cases, the conclusion is it has nothing to do with the parents. The parents did the best they can, and there's other reasons. There's another reason why the child became alcoholic, a drug addict, a criminal, whatever. It doesn't matter. We're not judging anybody. We're just trying to get to the bottom of it. So here comes a very unique approach, a very different approach that nobody ever brought it up. Nobody ever really thought about it. There's a reason why Asaph was born. Why you think the Torah is something here is for nothing. There's a very good reason why Asaph was born specifically to Yitzchak and Rivka. Other than that, why would the Torah do such a thing? And the thing is that each and every one of us and every person in this world, as wicked as they may be, has a purpose in this world. Hashem doesn't create anything for vain. Even Haman, even Titus, even Hitler, Yimach Shemo, everybody has some type of a purpose. It's not a mistake. So even Asaph has a certain purpose. What is the purpose of Asaph? What's the idea behind Asaph that Rivka and Yaakov have to have a child like that up until today, Asaph, his offsprings are troublemakers, and needless to say how much problem he made in the Torah? Must be that there's something behind Asaph. Now let's see who's Asaph. It says in the Talmud, in Tractate Sota, and also in the translation, what is called Targum Yonatan. We spoke about this last week, that when Yaakov passed away, this we're going to learn in a few weeks, when Yaakov passed away, all the kids, all the Shvatim, took him from Egypt back to Eretz Israel to bury him in Marat HaMachpelah. Now imagine what's going on. This is not just a few guys walking with a coffin. This is Yaakov. And Yosef is with them and the whole thing. This was like an entourage you can't even imagine. Remember, I don't know if you remember, President Trump came to Israel last year, half of Israel was closed. They brought their own helicopters, their own cars. Everywhere was surrounding with the CIA, whatever they call the Secret Service, and that's how they brought Yaakov to Israel. What do you think? They just carried him on a camel? Can you imagine what's going on? All the Shvatim, all the tribes, including Yosef, escorting him. And as they're coming into Ma'arat HaMachpelah to bury Yaakov, the last one that goes into Ma'arat HaMachpelah, stands Asaph there with hundreds of soldiers, all on their horses, swords are out, and they're saying, and Asaph is saying, you're not burying him, it's my plot. And they're telling him, what are you talking about? This is Yaakov's plot. We know. He told us he bought it from you. Asaph says, oh yeah? He bought it from me? Prove it. He's not going to get buried today in this plot. I get buried there. You can bury him anywhere you want. They're telling him, Habibi, dear uncle, we didn't see you for the last 80 years. Where were you? You know how many bar mitzvahs we sent you invitations to? You never bothered to show up your face. Now suddenly you're coming to the funeral. And he tells them, this is my plot, you're not burying him there. They tell him back, we have documents, we have proof. Yaakov, our father, told us that he bought this plot from you when he bought the Bechorah, the firstborn. He says, oh yeah, so prove it to me. So they tell him, what are you talking about? The certificate is in the safe back in Egypt. No, you show me the certificate, I'll let you bury him. So they sent Naphtali. Naphtali was known to be very quick. They sent Naphtali back to Egypt to go and get from the safe the documents. In the meantime, this whole argument is going on. Just imagine the scene. This is not like a fist fight in a bar. It says that Asaph came with hundreds of soldiers. And then on the other side, you have all the Shvatim. Yosef is there. Can you imagine what an entourage came with Yosef? The second to the king. Just imagine the scene. If Hollywood would make now a movie out of it, this would be like a huge scene. As all this is going on, stands a young man in the side. He's mute and he's deaf. And, and his name is Hushim ben Dan. He was the son of the tribe Dan. And he's standing there, he's mute, he can't talk, he's deaf, he can't see anything. The woman who goes like that wasn't there that day, so he don't know what's going on. They're all with beards, he can't read the lips. And he sees this man that he never saw in his life is stopping the funeral, and he sees the grandfather in the coffin. He doesn't understand what's going on. He gets upset, he takes out his sword, and he cuts Asaph's head off. Now there's difference of opinion. One opinion says that he took a sword and cut his head off. One opinion says he just took a strong, like a bat or something, and he hit the head and the head got disattached from the body. But nevertheless, he cuts his head off. The head of Asaph rolls on the floor, rolls all the way into Ma'arat HaMachpelah and stops next to the grave. And up until today, we know that Asaph's head was buried with Yaakov and the body was buried outside. That's what it says in the Talmud and also in Targum Yonatan. So what do we learn from that? That Asaph is a very weird reality. His head was a very, very lofty head. Comes from a very, very high place. That the head was buried in Ma'arat HaMachpelah. But the body was low and nothing. The body had to be buried outside. The Talmud says that Asaph had a very lofty soul, very, very high level soul. But there wasn't any person in the history that, like Asaph, that's what the Talmud says. There wasn't any person in the history that did kibud av v'em like Asaph. So the Talmud comes to his favor and he says, yes, we know he was wicked, but nevertheless, the Talmud says that his head was very, very great, corresponding to his soul. His soul was very lofty. And where do we learn a lot of zchut on him, give him zchut, a merit, is that he did unbelievable kibud av v'em. To a point that the Talmud says nobody ever did such kibud av v'em. Where do we learn that from? The Torah gives us a hint. Very soon we're going to learn that when Yaakov came to get the brachot, if you remember, Asaph went to the field to hunt. Yaakov was about to go in to get the brachot. What does Rivka tell him? Whoa, before you go in, put Asaph's clothes on. Why do I need to put clothes on? So your father will not get confused. Yitzchak was already blind, Rivka comes and says to Yaakov, put the clothes of Esav. What is these clothes? Why clothes? He's going in to get a blessing. One of these clothes, the Midrash says that Esav, such high level of kibud av ve'em, that every time that he went in to see his father, he wore special clothes. For Shabbat, we wear a special suit, a special dress, something that is only for Shabbat. Esav had special clothes only when he walked to see his father Yitzchak. Anytime there was a meeting, no problem, he puts his clothes on. What's so special about the clothes that Esav was wearing? These were the most special clothes anybody can think of, and the most special clothes in the world. Why? These were the clothes that Adam HaRishon and Chava were given by God. After Adam and Chava sinned, it says in the Torah that the Kadosh Baruch Hu gave them suits. Alei te'ena, he took leaves of figs and he sewed to them clothes, and he gave it to Adam and Chava. Now, these were very special clothes. Now, Adam and Chava, they gave it down in the generation. It went to Shet and then to Noach, and it went through the generation. Now, can you imagine the clothes? Our clothes, it says made in China. Their clothes made by God, made in Gan Eden. Can you imagine the clothes that Hashem himself sewed and gave it to Adam and Chava? This is if we'll have them now. I'm sure they're somewhere. We're probably going to see them when Mashiach comes. I mean, nothing that Hashem does can get erased. So these clothes are somewhere. There was a certain individual that we read about him last week and the week before. His name is Nimrod. He was a big shmegeg, a big troublemaker. He wanted that clothes. So he went and robbed the clothes, and every time he would go and wear them, all the animals were afraid of him because they saw this godly clothes. So Nimrod used to wear these clothes every time he went hunting, every time he went to a war, he would wear these clothes. Now, when you're saying leaves of figs, you're imagining some, a leaf here and a leaf here. I'm sure if Hashem made them, it wasn't just something so simple. I'm sure it had unbelievable glory and power. Now, Esav hears that Nimrod has these special clothes. And they said Nimrod was Melech HaYa'ar. He was the king of the jungle. Literally, he would put the clothes on. Nobody wanted to get close to Nimrod, especially the animals. So, the story says that Esav goes and he kills Nimrod. And he takes the clothes. He robs him. Now, every time Esav used to go into Yaakov, into Yitzchak, he would wear these clothes. And he was wearing on them. And Asaph said, these clothes are so special. This is not for somebody to impress the animals. These clothes should go only to the best person in the world. That's my father. So Asaph, as wicked as he was, he had unbelievable respect and kibud av to his father. The Midrash says in the Bereshit Rabbah, it's talking about a certain Tana, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, and he says, Kol yamai shiratiti et avi. All my life I have served my father. But the kibud avim that I did, this is said by Shimon ben Gamliel, he says it's not even 1 out of 100 of what Asaph did to Yitzchak. So the Talmud comes and concludes and says, yes, Asaph was wicked, but very lofty soul. And the level of kibud avim that he did was beyond our comprehension. So we come to the conclusion that Asaph, the head was lofty, the body was very, very low. The Torah comes and gives us a proof, and it gives the proof through a hint, and it says, finally, that's what we're reading today, finally after 20 years, Rivka gets pregnant. Can you imagine? Rivka doesn't get pregnant. She can't get pregnant. Later on, we know, based on the Zohar and many other sources, that she wasn't barren. She wasn't like Sarah and the rest of the mothers, or Rachel. She wasn't barren. Just that she was such a tzaddik that every time that she would pray to have a child, all the barren women in the generation would get pregnant. So Hashem says, I don't want her now, I'll give her a child, she'll stop praying. But how does the Torah teach us that gives us a proof and gives us a hint? That it says that finally Rivka gets pregnant. The Torah goes very, very short here. It just says that she couldn't get pregnant. Yaakov asked Hashem right away, like an ATM. He got the answer quickly, and she gets pregnant. Now, we do know that pregnancy is not an easy thing. Baruch Hashem, I don't have to go through pregnancies, but I see my wife, that's enough to understand that it's not easy. But Rivka had a very difficult pregnancy. Some women, the pregnancy is fine. Some of them throw up all day long, but Rivka had a very, very difficult pregnancy. And she said, listen, something's going on here. Something's going on with this pregnancy, and she says a statement that is extremely, extremely weird and extreme. She says, I'd rather die. With this type of pregnancy, I'd rather die. Whoa, you waited 20 years to get pregnant, now you want to die? What kind of a statement is that? Lama anochi, he says, Lama anochi, why I don't need this, I'd rather die. What would cause Rivka to give such a statement that she says, I'd rather die? I understand what's going on here, something's going on in the stomach, and I wish that I could die. Rashi explains that she already knew that one child has a certain te'ava, a certain lust, a certain desire to go to idol worship. And we know very clearly, it says that every time she walked next to a shul, then Yaakov was moving in the stomach, he wanted to go out, he wanted to hear the drasha. Every time she went next to a place of idol worship, then Asaph would start going crazy in the stomach. She already knew she has one of them that is going to be a big idol worshiper and a big troublemaker. And she says, I don't want to bring such a child to the world. I'd rather die. I don't want to see such a thing. The Gemara says that at the time of Rebbe was Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. He's the rabbi who wrote the Mishnah. He was a very good friend of one of the leaders that were against the Jews, Antoninos. Rabbi and Antoninos were very good friends. And the Talmud says that once they had an argument. And the argument was, when does the Yetzer Hara come to the person? So Antoninus said that, it was Rabbi who said, the Yetzer Hara comes when the fetus is in the body. And Antonino says no, the Yetzer Hara comes when the child goes out. The second the child goes out, there's already a Yetzer Hara. And Rebbe says, you know what, you're right, I agree with you. How do we know that the second that the child goes out, he gets a Yetzer Hara? It says in the Torah, Lapetach chatat rovetz. As the person goes out, the translation, Lapetach chatat rovetz, it means at the entrance, sin lies. Right at the entrance, which means the child goes out, right away he gets a Yetzer Hara. And I give him not even a second, right away. In our generation, in all the previous generations since Bet HaMikdash, we know that we all carry a certain impurity on us. It's called Tumat Met. There's different types of impurity. Impurity from the blood of the cycle, the woman's cycle, impurity from sperm, impurity from a dead mouse, and so forth. But the worst of all the impurities, it's the father of all impurities, is Tumat Met, the impurity of death. And all you need to do is touch a dead corpse, that's it. You also have this impurity. And many others. I mean, even if you're just in the same room of a dead person, if you're sitting on the same bed, whatever. I don't need to get to all the halacha here, but the point is that we all have Tumat Met on us, which means that the second that the doctor that delivers the child touches the baby, right away the baby has this impurity. And when Mashiach is going to come, one of the first things that we're going to have, the Mashiach is going to slaughter the red heifer, and he makes from the red heifer, he burns the red heifer till it's ashes, they mix it with water, and then this is called Mayim Hararim, they sprinkle it over us, V'et ruach hatuma avir min haaretz, and then we become pure. Can you imagine that this impurity will be removed from us? All the bad thoughts that we have, bad intentions, bad inclinations, the Yetzer Hara, the desires, the lust, it's all coming from Tumat Met. Once that will be removed, going to breathe finally. So in our generation, we feel this Tumat Met, all the generations since Bet HaMikdash. But nevertheless, any person that comes out to the life of to the air of the world, right away he gets the Yetzer Hara. Now, with a regular child, it happens when the child comes out of the stomach. With Asaph, it was already in the stomach. That was where Rivka says, this is not normal. It's normal that we get a Yetzer Hara when I'm born, but this one has a Yetzer Hara before he was born. Why would a little baby want to go to a place of idol worship? So this was the first hint where the Torah is already telling us about the power of Asaph, so to say. But there's another hint where the Torah is telling us the idea behind Asaph. So just remember the first hint, and about that the Yetzer Hara comes already. He had already the Yetzer Hara in the stomach. The second hint is that it says in our parasha, Vayezed Yaakov nezid. He cooked some type of a pottage, and he cooked some type of lentils, red lentils. That's what Yitzchak was cooking. Yaakov was cooking. That's the story. Asaph goes to the field. He comes back. Yaakov is cooking a pottage. It says that he was cooking lentils because that day Avraham Avinu died, and he was cooking something that's that has round. You know, when we mourn in the Shiva, we eat round things like eggs and beans. But nevertheless, so it says that Yitzchak was cooking this pottage. Comes Asaph, not Yitzchak. Yaakov was cooking the pottage, the Nezid Adashim. Asaph walks in, and he says, tired. You're 15 years old. Why are you tired? Why would a 15-year-old be tired? Why is the Torah telling me that Asaph was tired? Rashi says that right after he walks in, then he tells Yaakov, give me some of this pottage. I'm very tired and I'm very hungry. Yaakov says, you know what? You want from this Nezida Dashim, from this pottage? Sell me your firstborn. I want to be the firstborn. So what does Asaph answer him? For sure, I'll save it. I'll sell it to you because I'm about to die. And what is the Bechorah, the firstborn, worth for me if I'm considered already dead? You're 15 years old. Why are you saying such a thing? This whole interaction that we read in this parasha, they're both 15-year-old boys. Rashi says something very, very interesting. And he says, why would a person talk about death? Is because he met death. He saw death. When do you talk about death? Usually in the Shiva. That's when you start taking, that uncle died and this people died. Rashi says, when do you talk about death? Is when you met death with your eyes. Rashi says something very interesting, that day, that when Asaph walked in, that's the day when he killed Nimrod. When he went to go after the clothes, he went to Nimrod and he killed him. Asaph was a professional bow and arrow. I don't know how you say it in English. Kashat? Archer. Yeah, thank you. And he saw Nimrod from far away, right away, and he took him out. And we killed Nimrod that day. So he walks in and he's tired because he was busy with killing. So Asaph, we see, is not a regular person. Asaph is a wicked person, but beyond wicked. So again, we come back to the same question: how does Asaph come out of Yitzchak? So we just got two hints from the Torah that Asaph got his Yetzer Hara already from the stomach. Not only that, he was wicked. He's a 15-year-old boy. He already goes and murders a person. Why? Because he wants the clothes. Who says that the clothes belongs to Asaph? It didn't come with any inheritance. He just liked the clothes and he says, I'm going to take them. A 15-year-old boy goes and murders somebody with cold blood to steal off the clothes. So we conclude that Asaph was a wicked person. Forget about now what the Talmud says, a lofty neshama. Okay, that's the neshama. Now we're looking at the body. We're coming back to the same question. How is Asaph the son of Yitzchak? There is a commentary said by the Kli Yakar. Kli Yakar is known as a very great commentary on the Torah. His name is Shlomo Ephraim. And he has a great commentary on the Torah. And not only that, there's another commentary by the Chida. The Gaon Chida is Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azulai. And both say something very, very interesting. When LaVon, this was actually said by the Chida, that when LaVon said goodbye to Rivka last week, what did he tell her? Do you remember what he told her? He told her, Ati le'alfei revava. You go and become a great mother of nations. But really what he told her, he told her, you should have kids like us. He was so wicked, LaVon, that he told Rivka, yes, you're going away from our home. Don't forget where you came from. And the Kli Yakar says that usually the boys, who do they resemble? Now I know all of you will answer the mother. The Kli Yakar says the boys resemble the mother's brothers. That's what the Kli Yakar says. Comes the Gaon Chida and he says when LaVon sent Rivka, he told her, you don't forget where you came from. You came from the house of Betuel. You bring kids like us into the world. The story was, if that's already last week, it's a little bit less relevant, but when Eliezer came, he came with so much gold, with so much, 10 camels full of gold and diamonds and rubies. You think they would just give him Rivka like that? They invited him to eat. The Midrash says that they put poison in his food. An angel came and switched the foods between Eliezer and Betuel. Betuel ate the food and died. So LaVon took now position, he's the brother, and he says, okay, they tried to rob Eliezer. Okay, it didn't work, fine. That's what he says. We see now it's the hand of God. Because I just tried to kill you and my father end up having the poison. So he sends her off. But he whispers to Rivka, you don't forget where you came from. Don't forget that you are Rivka, but Betuel Arami. Now when he tells her, where do we see, this is the beauty of the Gaon Chida, where he brings these things. Where does he find that? Look at the word that he says. He said, LaVon says to Rivka, V'tihi at alfei revava. Revava is the acronym of Rivka bat Betuel Ha'arami. How unbelievable. Revava means 1,000, thousands. So he tells her, you will be now the mother of thousands. But in between the lines, he's telling her, you are Revava, Rivka, bat Betuel Ha'arami, the acronym of Revava. Don't forget where you came from. You go and bring to the world a wicked person. So this is just a beautiful commentary brought by together, a Kli Yakar and the Chida. But it says in the Midrash, who were the ones who were barren? Barren, or what was the word for the men? Sterilized? Sterilized. So, pardon my English. But the Midrash says, who were the ones that were as follow? It says Avraham was Akar in the beginning. Yitzchak and Yaakov, they didn't have a problem. But then, also all the mothers were barren. All of them. Sarah, Rivka in the beginning, Leah, Rachel of course. In the beginning, they're all barren. Now, as whatever, I'm just talking about the matriarchs, but in the beginning they were all barren. The fathers only, the Avraham was barren, was Akar, and the mothers were all barren. The Maggid from Duvna says something very, very interesting. The ones who came from wicked people, they started barren. Avraham came from Metushelach and from Terach, they were wicked. And Rivka, Sarai came also, she didn't come from a good place. Rivka came from Betuel. Leah and Rivka and Rachel came from LaVon. All the ones who came from wicked people, they started as barren and Akarim. But why were they barren? What's the reason? Hashem made them barren to kill the power of birth from where they came from. Because if Rivka would give birth, if she wouldn't be barren in the beginning, she would give birth with the power of Betuel and LaVon. So she would be able to bring something disgusting into the world. So Hashem made them all barren. Avraham Avinu also. In the beginning, Avraham was Akar. He couldn't have babies. It wasn't the problem. Wasn't Sarah. It was him. Later on, Hashem gave Sarah a womb, and He gave Avraham the ability to have kids. Don't forget, he only had Ishmael when he was 90 years old. It was an old guy. So the Maggid from Duvna says such a beautiful chidush, and he says the Kadosh Baruch Hu made them all barren, so the power of fertility will be chopped off, and they won't be able to bring from their lineage anything that is dirty or disgusting. Then they did their own work as a tzaddik, tshuva, and they were able to bring something clean into the world. Now, so how do you say that on Rivka? How can you bring in all this in Rivka into the equation? First of all, she wasn't barren, Rivka. She was just in the beginning, she couldn't have kids. So comes here the big question. How did Asaph come out of Rivka? Because from Sarah came Yitzchak, from Leah and Rachel came only tzaddikim. Rivka comes an Asaph. Where did Rivka, what didn't work out with Rivka? Now, we know that Asaph was worse than LaVon. LaVon was a pretty wicked person, but Asaph put LaVon to shame. Which means that if we take all this information, there's something to conclude here, that there's way more to Asaph than what we see on the surface. Must be that something is very unique in this Asaph, that he had to come out from Rivka and from Yitzchak. Why would Hashem give good parents a bad child? It's a big question. Sometimes you see good parents, and this Asaph is not the first one in history. You know how many kids in history? You know, David HaMelech, all his kids went against him. And many others. How many people we see in our history that the kids went against the parents and they were wicked? Or even in our generation. Sometimes you see, you know, a great person, and the child, you're saying, that's the child of that person? Ooh, how did that come? So comes a big question, why would Hashem give good parents a bad child? And I know it's a very, very not nice definition, bad child, but just for the sake of the example. Difficult, but here, you know, we want to say it extreme, a bad child, because Asaph was bad. The Baal Shem Tov gives a beautiful story. Many years ago, it was Rosh Hashanah, Erev Rosh Hashanah. In Mezibush, big shul, they rented a big tent, 1,000 people come, everybody comes, they didn't have shuls there, so everybody came from the villages to Rosh Hashanah, they want to be in a shul with a minyan, and needless to say, to be with the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov walks into the shul, he stops in the entrance and he waits. Everybody's waiting. No, come on, let's start the services. The Baal Shem Tov waits. Nobody understands what's going on. Suddenly he puts on a great smile on his face and he starts walking, starts the service, and later on they tell him, what was that all about? You know, the whole congregation, this is not 10 people. We had here 1,000 people. You made everybody wait. He tells them, when I walked into the shul, I saw on the side a man that I didn't see for 40 years. And this man came from a very observant family, and one day he decided he doesn't want to be observant. And he went, married a non-Jew, had non-Jewish kids. He went completely away from the Torah. He wasn't so honest in business and so forth. And now I see him in the shul. Now what was the story? That this man went on a business trip and happened to be that he stopped in this town today, Mezibush, and in the morning he sees everybody, you know, Erev Rosh Hashanah, everybody running up and down, and Erev Yom Tov. So he stops one kid and tells him, what's going on in this town? Everybody's going, hyped up. And the kid is like, where did you come from? It's Erev Rosh Hashanah today. Suddenly the man, wow, he gets this flashback. Oh, I remember when I was a kid in Rosh Hashanah, wow. My father used to wear a kittel, he used to put me on his knees and give me a blessing, and we used to go to the synagogue and we hear the shofar, and son starts getting all emotional, and he says, wow, where did I go wrong? What did I do? And he goes into the shul and he's embarrassed to walk in, so he stands in the entrance in the corner, and as he starts opening his mouth, the Baal Shem Tov walks in and he overhears. And he hears this man saying, Hashem, I've sinned. I did so bad things. I don't even know where to start to say sorry. But I'm sorry, and I want to do tshuva. And I regret everything that I did. And I did so many things, I don't even know how to even say them. So you know, I'm just going to start saying them one after the other. I lied, I cheated, I stole, I this. The Baal Shem Tov was waiting and he's listening to the whole thing. And he says, when this man was praying and saying the list of his sins, he didn't know how to pray. He just said the list of his sins. He said there was so much joy in the heavens. The heavens were like 4th of July, fireworks. God comes and listens. So he says, if I would pray, who would listen to my prayers? This guy was shaking the heavens. So I had to wait for him to finish. Now, with all the excitement in the heavens, then I was ready to go and pray, and I knew that my prayer will be accepted because this prayer of this guy. On this story, the Rambam, Maimonides, he explains that there are two types of people. One of them is called Chassid Me'uleh, the great Chassid, Now, a Chassid, just that we have the term right, Chassid is not necessarily the one that has the fairy hat, the shtreimel, and the white socks. That's not necessarily a Chassid. Chassid is a person, the term in Hebrew is Chassid, the Adam shemitchased im kono. A person that goes beyond the letter of the law when it comes to Torah and mitzvot. He doesn't look at the halakha. He goes way beyond that. Sometimes the halakha says, it's okay, you don't have to do that. I will still do that. And one example out of many, we wear tzitzit. I don't have to wear a tzitzit. It says in the Torah, only when I have a garment that has 4 corners, then I have to put tzitzit. But my garment doesn't have 4 corners, I don't have to wear it. But nevertheless, I still wear on me a 4-cornered garment every day, all day, so I can wear the mitzvah on me. And this is one example out of many that I go beyond the letter of the law. I don't have to. And some people say, it's hot, 40 degrees Celsius, I need to wear tzitzit now. I don't need to wear tzitzit. But there's many mitzvot that the Torah tells you, you don't have to do. But some people still go beyond the letter of the law. This is the definition of a chassid. Somebody does everything beyond the letter of the law when it comes to Hashem. This is the first type of person, what Rambam says. The other type of person is a person that is called hakoveshet yitzro, that conquers his lust, his desire, his inclination. So on one hand, we have the perfect chassid, no yetzer hara barely, always does good, always has a smile, never gets angry, never gets upset, never loses his patience, always courteous, always opens his house, everything is perfect. But on the other hand, we have the person that, this is us, that we have to conquer my inclination. And every now and then, I lose my patience. And every now and then, I have anger and I can't control it. And I say the wrong word. And sometimes I lust something that is forbidden. And I want to do this and I want to do that. That's us. This is called hakoveshet yitzro, that I have to constantly conquer my inclination, my desires, and my lusts. An average person like us will constantly ask himself, why do I have so many tests? What's the point? Why do I have to be tested all day long? Just can't I have like a month off? Can't I have like a month that everything is nice and calm and relaxed? Every day I have to have another challenge. Every day I have to be tested and to be patient, to be understanding, to be courteous, to be polite, to be this, to be that. What's this whole headache about? The chassid hameuleh, the perfect chassid, will constantly be drawn to good. You know how many times we ask people, come and help me out, I need you to do this. No, I'm busy, I have to run, The chassid hameuleh, right away, who do I need to help? I'm going to come right away, no questions here. The chassid, the perfect chassid, doesn't have desires, forbidden desires, doesn't have lusts for things that are forbidden, doesn't have a yetzer hara, everything is constantly good. The one who has to conquer his inclination, hakoveshet yitzro, every day has to battle with anger, with feelings, with desires and lusts and all sorts of problems all day long. Don't think that we're talking about some foreign person, it's us. All day long I have to battle with it. And you think it's easy? No. Our life is not easy. On the outside we all smile, we dress nice, and how are you? How was your day? But in the back of my mind, I'm like a nervous wreck. And sometimes I have to put on a nice face because it's not nice, the right appropriate situation to burst out in anger. But the inside, if people will know what's going on inside, the inside doesn't resemble the outside. How many times you look at a person, you're saying, the person looks happy and content, and what a storm is going on inside. And the storm can be anger, frustration, whatever it is. It's not easy. We don't have it easy. The Gemara wants to give us a beautiful story. Slowly we'll put all the puzzle pieces together and we'll get to the point. We're almost done. The Gemara gives us a story about a certain individual. His name is Amram Chasida. This Amram Chasida was a perfect Chasid. This perfect person. Everything was according to the Torah. No question, no doubts, no problems. One time, it was the time that there were all sorts of thieves and robbers, and it was very popular that the women, the girls, would get kidnapped and then be freed for ransom. Okay, the story says that a few young girls got kidnapped. They gathered a lot of money, and they got the money, and they got them free. Okay, now they had to put them somewhere. You know what it is for the girls to be in captivity, in the prison, wherever they took them. So they say, where can we put these young girls? They're vulnerable, they're sensitive, they just went through a trauma. Where can we put them that they'll be safe? Everybody said, no question, give them to Amram Chasida. Nothing's going to happen there. He's an old man, he's a very old man. He's not going to have any desire or lust to one of these women. Put them there, they'll be safe. They took the girls to his home and they put them in the attic. And to make sure that nobody gets there, they took the steps away and they put the steps away. Okay. In the morning, one of the lovely young ladies goes out, and what do you know? Amram Chasida looks, and the desire starts burning inside. Nice young lady, very attractive. And he's in, what are they going to do? This is what a situation. I have this beautiful lady, and she smiles to him, and he doesn't know what to do. And he battles his desire, and he breaks, and he takes the ladder, and he puts the ladder to go up to the attic. And in his mind, he's like, what am I doing? But he can't. As he's going up the ladder, he starts screaming, fire, fire, fire! Everybody runs to the house of their rabbi to save fire. And they see him on the stairs, and he screams, fire, fire! No fire and no nothing. They just see their rabbi on the stairs. Rabbi, are you changing a light bulb? What are you doing on the stairs, our dear rabbi? And of course they know what he's doing on the stairs. You know what he tells them? I'd rather be embarrassed in this world than not be embarrassed in the world above. So he knew that if he goes up, he's going to do something horrible and he's going to have to be embarrassed in the world above. So he embarrassed himself in this world and he says, I'd rather be embarrassed here. Because they told him, Rabbi, you know, this big balloon that we had, this big hope, we had you on a pedestal, now we see you. So he says, I'd rather be embarrassed now. The person that has to conquer his desire, his lust, his inclination, it's every day and it's all day long. And it sometimes is with severe forbidden things, and sometimes it's just going next to the bakery and that smell of those chocolate rogalach. Oh, wow. I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's like I go to the mikvahs that way, and I'm like, wow, oh, wow. You know the exhaust pipes of the bakery here? They go up exactly where the mikvah is. You know how it smells at 4 o'clock in the morning, those rogalach? The chocolate ones, and sometimes the cinnamon ones. Oh, you're like, should I go to the mikveh? Should I? There's just one. I only want one. So this inclination and these desires that we have, sometimes is for very forbidden things, and sometimes, okay, well, what's the big deal? One chocolate rogalach. I only have one. This koveshet yitzro, the person that has to go against his desire, it's every day, all day long. The Gemara says something so powerful. It says it's easier to conquer a city than to conquer your own desire. Because to conquer a city, you come with a strategy, you come with a plan, and you finish with it, and you conquer the city. To conquer your desire, your whole life you have to conquer your desire. So, where do we get the power to fight this lust, this desire, the inclination, all day long? And let's not kid ourselves. It's all day long. All day long. In the morning it's the rogalach, in the afternoon it's the coffee, in the late afternoon it's this, in the late at night it's that. All day long I have to battle this. Where do we get the power to battle such a thing? Where? It has to come from somewhere. You know how we battle this hard battle? From somebody that gives us an example. How do you become successful in something? You need to look at a mentor. You need to look at somebody that did that already. Somebody told me just the other day. He told me, you know why you inspire me? Because you come from the same place where I am. And I look at you and I see you were able to do it. It gives me hope. And I say, I can do it too. So when you see somebody else doing something, you're saying, oh, he gave me the hope and the path and the inspiration. To conclude everything that we're saying, this is the task, this is the shlichut of Esav. Esav came to this world. The mission of Esav in this world is he's the first one that was able to conquer, was supposed to conquer his desire. He was placed in this world to have an unbelievable desire for forbidden things, and he was the first one that was supposed to conquer the desire. Now he didn't, he failed. But nevertheless, that was his mission. That's why he was placed in this planet. That's why he came, only so there will be a person that conquered his desires, and I can say he did it. Now, the unfortunate truth is that he failed. He wasn't able to. He did everything that is wrong in the book. But, you know why he failed? Because nobody told him. He didn't have a mentor. He didn't have a rabbi. Because when he walked into the shul, the rabbi told him, I don't want you here. When he walked into the shiur Torah, the rabbi told him, I don't want you now affecting the rest of the kids. Get out. So nobody was guiding him. Nobody told him, listen, this is your job in this world. Your job is to be rich. Your job is to be an educator. Your job is to be an amazing mother. Your job is to be a baker. Your job is to fight your evil inclination and to succeed so you can give the example to other people. Nobody told him that. And you know what he didn't understand? He didn't understand that something that we don't understand, that's why we fail. He didn't understand that his deficiency is his quality. It's his ma'ala, his virtue. He just says, I'm a loser, I'm a nobody. I'm no good for nothing. Just the other day we talked about it with a very dear friend of mine that unfortunately in his childhood was physically abused by his father. And there were 6 kids. And the father made these kids punching bags. He used to beat them up every day. And he told me what messed him up is him and the siblings, that as a child he understood that if my father is beating me up, it means that I did something bad and I'm worthless in his eyes. Because if I had value in his eyes, then he would hug me and kiss me. If I don't have any value in his eyes, then he beats me up. So he told me that him and his brothers and sisters all grew up with a problem that they feel that they're worthless in the world. That's just as a side note, as parents, how important it is to shower love to the kids and to show appreciation and to point out the good things so the kid doesn't feel like a complete loser. I know another individual that the father did a number on him all day long. You're a loser, you're a failure, you're a nobody, look at your brother, look at your this. And the person He's a great individual, but he feels like a loser. Why? Because the father, all day long, made him a loser. Asaph didn't understand that his deficiency is actually his power. And this is where we fail. That we look at my deficiency and I say, I'm a loser. I'm a failure. I'm not a good husband. I'm not a good father. I'm not a good businessman. I'm not a good student. There is a story, we're going to conclude in a few minutes. There is a story, just to put all the puzzle pieces together, about the Baal Shem Tov. And there was a very sick woman, and her husband comes to the Baal Shem Tov and he tells him, please, Rebbe, pray for her. She's doing so bad. The doctors, they don't know what to do. Please pray for her. The Baal Shem Tov is praying, and he sees nothing is happening. He's like, what's going on? What, I didn't put the batteries in the prayer, the prayer is not working. So the Baal Shem Tov says to this man, okay, I want you to go out to the streets. It's the evening now. I want you to get all the thieves, all the robbers, all these lowlifes, get them all in here. He says, Rabbi, I told you to pray for my wife. What are you making now a convention of all the robbers and all the bikers? He tells them, just bring them all in here. He brings all these robbers and thieves and the bikers with the tattoos and everything, and he sits them down. He tells them, start reading Tehillim. With their earrings and the beards and everything, they start reading Tehillim, and whoop, what do you know? Miracle from Shamayim, and the wife is healed and everything is great. They told him, why did you have to call these criminals? The Baal Shem Tov says, when I was praying, I saw that the locks of the gates of heaven are locked. So I needed to bring the guys in order to break locks. So Asaph didn't understand that he's a lock breaker. He didn't understand that sometimes you have to be low, but you break locks. He didn't understand that, so he failed. Not everybody is meant to be the chief rabbi of the world. Sometimes you're meant to be in a lower place, but you know what? You are the lock breakers. You know how to break locks. And you're here to take something from so low to take it high. So now that Asaph failed, he was brought to give us inspiration, but he failed. Now what? Where will we get our inspiration to fight our evil inclination? You know where that comes from? From his other half, from Leah. Leah was the other half of Asaph. She was supposed to marry Asaph. That's what the Talmud says, that Yitzchak had 2 boys, LaVon had 2 girls. They said, you have 2 boys, I have 2 girls. The older one goes to the older one, the younger one goes to the younger one. Asaph has to marry Leah, Yaakov is going to marry Rachel. That's what the Talmud says. Now what's the connection between Leah and Asaph? If you remember, it says that Leah was the first Ba'alat Tshuva in history. Where do we see that Leah was the first Ba'alat Tshuva? We're going to start learning very soon about Rachel and Leah. It says that Leah had soft eyes. And why soft eyes? Because she used to cry all the time. She used to do tshuva. Rachel was beautiful, very, very beautiful. And it says that Leah wasn't as attractive as Rachel. But mainly what it says about Leah, that her eyes were very soft. The commentary says she used to cry all the time. Why would she cry? Because she understood that she has to marry Asaph. She understood that Hashem gave her a lot of deficiencies, that Rachel is the beautiful one, she's the successful one, she's also the younger one. But Leah understood something very, very unique. She understood that Hashem gave us deficiencies so we can rectify them, so we can fix them, so we can elevate them. The fact that I have something bad in me, I have a desire for something wrong, I have a bad inclination for something, I get drawn to evil things, here lashon hara, here some gossiping, here stealing, whatever it is. Hashem gave me something low and a deficient, so to say, a deficiency, so I can recognize it and then elevate it and rectify it. And that's what Leah understood. Leah understood that all the bad things that we get is not against us, it's rather for me to elevate it. Leah was able to give Asaph this information, but nevertheless she never married him, because LaVon tricked Yaakov, and first he gave Leah. LaVon made a trick here. She was supposed to marry Asaph, and Yaakov was supposed to marry Rachel. Then he switched them, of course, and he gave to Yaakov Leah, and then Asaph didn't get anybody. So if Leah would marry Asaph like she was originally supposed to, then she would give him the information like a good wife and telling him, Asaph, I know you're not as successful as your brother, but listen, this is what's your mission in this world. Your mission in this world is to be a living example for the rest of the generation, how somebody can conquer his desires. But she didn't do it. Now, where do we see that Leah was able to, so to say, rectify and bring the power of tshuva into the world? We're going to read that in a few weeks. The story with Yehuda. Remember the story with Yehuda? Yehuda goes and he has marital relations with his daughter-in-law, with Tamar, and he gets her pregnant. Okay, she's not supposed to be married. She's suddenly pregnant. They bring her to the head, to the Mara de Atra. Yehuda was the chief rabbi, and they tell her, look at this woman. She got pregnant, and she's not even married. Right away, they find her guilty, and they send her to be burnt. This woman, Tamar, righteous woman, she closed her mouth. She could easily say, you got me pregnant. What are you talking about? But she doesn't say anything. Half an hour before she's brought out to be executed, to be burned, she takes a little bag, and if you remember, Yehuda left by there, whatever, his ring and all sorts of the car keys, his iPhone, he forgot the iPhone there. She has it in a little bag. Half an hour before she's going to be killed, she tells the guy who's escorting her, by the way, you see this bag? Just deliver it to the rabbi. He delivers it to the rabbi. Yehuda opens the bag. Oh my gosh. Right away he understands. Oh my gosh, I'm the father. That's the woman that I went to. Now what does Yehuda do? He has half an hour. What would a normal man do? Go to his home, close the door, close the shades, go into bed, cover the head, wait half an hour, then she's dead, the evidence are gone. I'm free for the rest of my life. That's what anybody would do. What does Yehuda do? The chief rabbi comes out and says, stop. I got her pregnant. I'm the one. Don't kill her. Can you imagine the power of coming out and saying, I did something wrong? This power that Yehuda was able to go out and do such tshuva only comes from Leah. She was able to give him this power. She could have given that power to Asaph, but she didn't marry Asaph because LaVon tricked him. That's why he's called the LaVon Harami, the liar. He tricked everything. He messed everything up. But nevertheless, Yehuda and the rest of the Shvatim, and of course, needless to say us, we get the power of tshuva. It's coming from our mother Leah. Leah was the mother of all tshuva. To conclude this all, Hashem gives each and every one of us a lot of deficiencies. I can be impatient. I can be quick to anger. I can be judgmental. Oh, the list can go on and on. You figure out what's your deficiency. What's the thing in you that you find that, listen, I'm not 100% happy about it, but I have to face the reality. People will not come out to the public and say, by the way, I'm very judgmental. Nobody will come and say such a thing. I don't know people that come and say, listen, don't get on my nerves because I am a hothead and I will get upset right. Most people says, no, I'm totally fine. That's denial. You're smart. You walk and stand in front of a mirror and you say, who am I kidding? I'm judgmental. Who am I kidding? I'm quick to anger. I don't have any patience. What am I talking about? That's the right attitude. But nevertheless, Hashem gives us a lot of things in our life that I find it as a deficiency in me. Maybe I'm using the wrong word as deficiency. In Hebrew we say chisaron, a lack. I'm lacking something. I can have lack of respect to another person. I can have lack of patience. I can have a lack a lot of things. The only reason why Hashem is giving us these lacks, I don't know if you say lacks, but whatever I lack and the deficiency, is not that I will stay in that deficiency, is that I will rectify it. You have a problem with anger? Work on it. You have a problem with being judgmental? Work on it. You have a problem with being having a problem with desiring the other gender and all, that's what you think about? Work on it. You have walking next to the bakery and you can't hold yourself because of the cookie? Work on yourself. Hashem loves the ones who correct their wrongdoing. Hashem loves the Baalei Tshuva. This is a very big difference between a person that is the perfect chassid and a Baal Tshuva. I'm happy that I was born not observant. If I would be born to an observant family, I would be completely against the Torah now. So I was born into a non-observant family, so I can get to be a Baal Tshuva. Hashem loves Baalei Tshuva. The Zohar says the highest place in Gan Eden, that's where the Baalei Tshuva are. The Talmud says, "B'makom shebaalei tshuva omdim tzaddikim gmurim einam yecholim lamod." A place where a Baal Tshuva stands, a complete tzaddik cannot stand. And every time that I say that, other people tell me, wait a minute, why are you telling me that the Baalei Tshuva are in the highest place? I was born observant. I converted. Why? I'm not about Tshuva. Even if you converted, even if you were born observant, you still have to be about Tshuva. We have a good friend of ours that the entire family, they converted. And one time they were sitting in our Shabbat table way before the conversion, and she was like on fire. The mother was on fire. And my wife told her, you know, now you're on fire, but soon you're going to get converted. You're going to get your Yetzer Hara, and just get prepared. And she didn't understand what we're saying, and I told her, listen, my dear friend, now you still don't have your holy soul. The second that you walk out of the mikveh, the Yetzer Hara stands in there with the towel. He gives you the towel. Does he just wipe yourself? Right away he already punches you. So you just walk out of the mikveh, right away the Yetzer Hara is already attacking you. So even if you're a convert, you fail many times, so you also can be a Baal Tshuva. And even if you were born in an observant family, but everybody has to be doing tshuva. Hashem loves Baalei Tshuva. Hashem loves the ones who correct themselves, that they rectify what they do. And this is the whole idea behind the Esav. Forget about now what we started saying about parents, about educating the kids, and that's a whole different thing. Parents should not take on themselves any blame unless you did something deliberately. Hashem sends you a difficult child or a challenged child or a child that is not so easy to, okay, Hashem wants you to work on yourself. Hashem wants you to help that child. And it doesn't mean that your child is going to be what you want. I am already preparing myself emotionally, psychologically, physically. Then maybe my kids are not going to go in my path. Maybe they're not going to want to go into specifically to a rabbinical path. One of my kids wants to go to business, to the army. The other one wants to, I don't know. I'm not going to stop them from what they want to do. I'm not going to love them less because they're not going in my path, and I'm already preparing myself. Now they're young. Well, it's going to be in 10 years and 15 years when they choose to go a different path. I'm already preparing myself. It doesn't mean that if I'm going on this path that my child has to go on that path. But I still have to encourage and love them and support them. This is when it comes to parents, but for us as regular people, the idea behind Esav, when you ask why did the Torah had to bring Esav and specifically to Yaakov and Rivka, because they were so tzaddikim, they got a child that had the potential to bring to the world the power of rectification and tshuva. The fact that we have a desire, I don't believe that neither one of us here, very few people are this perfect chassid. It doesn't matter how long your beard is and how black your yarmulke is and how you hold yourself. We all have these not nice thoughts, not nice behavior. You know, on the outside we behave a certain way, on the inside we don't behave the same. I always give the same example. Play now music here in this room. You know what's going to happen? You see people, put the same song in a closed room when it's just you. Suddenly you do moves that the world have never seen when you're by yourself in a room. Next to other people, you're so that's the proof. You're not the same next to other people. Next to other people, you're very polite, you talk nice, and you sit in your room. I don't want to say all the example of what's going on when you're by yourself with your room. So, and again, it's not to chas v'shalom prove anybody wrong, but we're different next to other people. I have to understand that, I have bad thoughts, I have impure thoughts, I have impure intentions. Sometimes I feel like cursing and screaming and losing my patience or whatever it is. We're all human. But that doesn't mean something wrong with me. It means that Hashem gave me these qualities that are not so good. Work on them. Refine them. You have a problem, anger, judgmental, whatever it is. Work on yourself. Refine that. And this is the whole idea behind Esav. Is that sometimes I get a present from Hashem. I get a present that I have a problem with patience. Work on it. When I became observant, I saw right away all these deficiencies. And I became observant 3 years it took me before I put a yarmulke on. Only after 3 years I started to go with the yarmulke. Because in my mind I was like, me being observant has nothing to do with putting tefillin on. Me being observant is to stop to lie, and to stop cheating, and to stop exaggerating, and to stop mocking people, and to be bully to people, and to cheat in business, and to be angry, and to be judgmental and jealous. That's my tshuva. When I conquer that, then I can start putting tefillin on. Then I can wear tzitzit. Then I can learn Torah. How can I learn Torah when I'm still judgmental, angry, and I steal and I cheat and I lie? How can I do tshuva like that? So for 3 years, my tshuva has nothing to do with my appearance. And yes, I used to put tefillin in the morning, and I didn't eat meat and dairy. That was my tshuva. That was my level of observance. So the point to take from that is that each and every one of us are born with amazing qualities. Charitable, courteous, loving, giving, smart. We're born with so many good qualities, and each and every one of us has unbelievable talents that nobody else has. This is the greatness when you're able to look at another person and say, that person has something that I don't have. If I look at another person and I say, I'm better than that person, I'm more successful, I have more money, I have a wife, I have kids, very easy to look at a person from above. The right way is to look at a person and says, that person has something that I don't have. He's a much better father than me. He's a much better engineer. He's a cook. He's a chef. Whatever it is. I have good qualities. I know my good qualities. I'm very well aware of all my good qualities. And at the same time, I'm very, very aware of all my things that are not good. And when I look at other people, your ego tells you, you better. And I always put the ego aside and says, no, that person must have something that is 10 times better than me. I get angry like that, and he will take 2 days to get angry. Therefore, he's much better than me. And so forth. That's the right attitude to look at another person to find where he's better than you. He, she, same thing. The point to take to that is that we all have a little spark of an Esav in us. Something that draws us to something evil, to something bad, to something disgusting, to something not kosher. And I have to overpower it. I have to overcome it. And Hashem put that place, this mechanism in me, so I will work on it. If Hashem wanted me to be perfect, then He will make me perfect. Hashem doesn't want me perfect. Hashem wants me to make things good. And that's really the power of Esav, and that's why Esav specifically comes to Yitzchak and Rivka. A righteous man and a righteous woman. the symbol of perfection, so to say. And they get a wicked child that goes and terrorizes the world. To make me understand that I have to have some type of an awareness of when I fail and how to rectify that. And Bezrat Hashem, we all strive to be a Baal Tshuva. Baal Tshuva is a very high level. We can be defined as a Choser B'Tshuva, not a Baal Tshuva. The difference between Baal Tshuva and Choser B'Tshuva, Choser means to return. So today I'm good, tomorrow I sin. The next day I do tshuva, then I sin again, then I do it again, and I sin, and I backwards and forth. This is choser b'tshuva. I constantly go back to the sin. Baal tshuva, when you own something, it's called be'alim. If I own a building, I'm the be'alim, I'm the owner. Baal tshuva is that I own the tshuva. That's it. It's not even an option. So to say on yourself you're a Baal tshuva, that's a very high level. That's what we want to strive. We want to strive to be a Baal tshuva. Now that's it. I will never lie. I will never cheat. I will never say lashon hara. Never eat something that is not kosher. Never desecrate Shabbat. So in your level, you can knock out one thing, and then a year later you knock out another thing. But we want to become balei tshuva. So when the Torah was given, the first set of tablets that were given, we were all in the level of tzaddikim. The Kadosh Baruch Hu manipulated the situation that there will be a golden calf. Why? So we can get the second set of the tablets as Balei Tshuva. So first and most important that we have to understand that even when we see people that are not 100%, they're not so observant, or they do wicked things or bad things, so much more so when it's my child, it's for me to guide them and help them. I have the power, the genes of my mother Leah, to be able to guide another person. Don't disqualify a person because he comes in with earrings and nose rings and tattoos. And just there on Friday we were talking about it. And I gave an example that a long time ago we had here a very big Shabbat meal, and there was one individual that came not really as a guest, but he was standing aside, and he was very impressed. He was like, I can't believe what's going on here. And then walks in a young guy with long hair, earrings everywhere, and walks in with his girlfriend, that there was not even a question here that she's not Jewish. They're both walking with their phones, talking on their phones. And I sit the guy next to me, bring him food, wine, everything, and I talk to him and we laugh. And the guy that's sitting in the corner, he's telling me, I've never seen such a thing. This is an observant guy. He tells him, I would kick him out of here, and I wouldn't even let him in. Look how he looks, coming with his phone on Shabbat, with his girlfriend like that. And I told him, I let him in with so much love, because 20 years ago, that's how I looked. 20 years ago, I would come to a place like this, would they accept me or not? I also came with long hair and tattoos and piercings and a girlfriend that was not Jewish, and some people kicked me out and some people accepted me. The point is to understand that each and every one of us, we have our good qualities and our bad qualities. Can't disqualify anybody. The parents that always come to me and tell me my child is off the path, talk to that person. You know how many phone calls I get, how many emails I get? Talk to my child. Why would your child want to talk to me? I can't even tell you how many emails I get every day. Talk to my child, they don't want to put tefillin on. Talk to my child, she doesn't want to be dressed modest. Why would your child listen to me? They don't even know me. So I always tell them the same thing. Listen, the fact that right now they're rebelling or they don't want to go on your path, who cares? The ones who rebel, they go the furthest out, they come back. They come back full swing. So just know how to control it the right way. Don't kick the child out of the house. Don't disqualify the person. Doesn't matter if it's your child or a stranger. Everybody has a potential. Everybody has a potential to take all this bad and transform it into good. And we have the power. We inherited the power of Leah, our mother, how to do tshuva, how to give over this power to do tshuva and the inspiration. So when you read in the Torah about Asaph, nothing is for vain, nothing is for no reason. Esau was born to Yitzchak and Rivka. He came to bring the power into the world, to make us understand that I also have an evil side in me, and that's to be rectified. Bezrat Hashem, we focus on what we need to do. We make ourselves a better person, then our life becomes a better life. My wife will get a better husband. My kids will get a better father. My students will get a better rabbi. I have to work on myself, not for myself, for everybody around me. We do that, we better our life, we better our surrounding community, and we make the world a much better place. And Bezrat Hashem should all be successful and finding in me what I lack, what is my deficiency, what is my weak point, and to recognize that and start coming with a plan. Okay, how am I rectifying it? How am I refining it? That I can become a perfect individual, and by refining the things that Hashem gave me, by the qualities that Hashem gave me that are not so good.